Oh, there's a box here. I didn't realize there was a box under my desk, guys. I forgot I got a ring light, a new one of the tripod.
Oh, did you?
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys stream a lot, sometimes your tripods die, and you have to get replacements. Mine suffered a catastrophic fall.
Oh, no.
Ring lights.
And one of the legs, one of my
it.
legs just was like, and I'm like, oh, that's not going to go back the way it was.
It's all over the place.
So it is Sunday. We are streaming. If I sound a little funny, it's because I had the flu earlier this week and I'm still getting the rest of it out of my throat, but I feel so much better. Yeah. What the? Do you guys see that?
Just Zeke.
He's on the TV somehow. He's like sitting on the soundbar. Well, guys, I think he wants to be part of the stream. So I have a cat now that's going to join us.
He says you need to put a cat tree right there so you can have like the cat view as well.
In my new house, I'll put a cat tree in the back, and that way he can be part of the stream. So today we are actually going to be talking about cosplay handlers. I forgot to adjust the banner here. So while I work on that, let's have you, Amber, introduce yourself.
Hi guys, I'm Amber Bright. I'm a professional prop maker and cosplayer here in Phoenix, Arizona. I've been cosplaying for, I don't know, a bit now. And I've done some costumes across the range that require cosplay handlers for various reasons. So this is definitely a topic near and dear to my heart, and I would not be able to do most of the things I do without my cosplay handler, aka my husband. So big shout out to him, even though he's not here.
He's hiding. He's
in another room.
All right, Rob.
I'm Rob, aka Overboss, aka Papa Fallout. Been cosplaying since, I don't know. They're the professionals. I'm just the hobbyist. I don't know, 2015, 16. My forte is big armor, and without a handler, I don't exist. I mean, I cannot go to a con.
Yeah, and when you say big armor, you mean the like full-on mecha power suit.
Full armor, yeah. You don't move. You don't go to the bathroom.
When he says big armor, he doesn't just mean big shoulder pads. He means the big armor.
Yeah, kind of a love-hate relationship there with my armors, but hey. But,
yeah. I brought a table over so the cat can be here.
Nice.
He has a bed on the table, so you might see a little head pop up. I am Sam from Thermal Cosplay. I've been cosplaying since 2014, which means Amber's been cosplaying since 2013.
I hate when I go before you in introductions, because if I go after you, I can just like remember what you said.
Literally, she started exactly a year before me, so it's like, woo!
I'm always like, I don't know how long I've been cosplaying. Sam, how long have you been cosplaying? Plus one that. Like,
plus one that. Whoops.
And today we are talking about, like we said, cosplay handlers, and we will be joined by another person shortly. They're just in the backstage studio right now working on some things for us. So hello, Cool Gamer. Hello, Sean. Thank you for joining us today. Again, we are talking about cosplay handlers, and cosplay handlers are individuals who assist you while you're wearing cosplay at conventions. Sometimes they even assist you online with managing your accounts. They could be an individual that teaches you how to do social media, but for the most part, cosplay handlers are considered to be individuals. My cat's trying to fall off. Individuals who are physically present with you at events. And one reason you may need a cosplay handler.
In cosplay or not in cosplay. Yeah. One of my friends who used to do, I think, Titan AE or something like that, power armor. He would do the big power armor, and then his cosplay handler was in like one of the like mechanic sets, which was like just like clothing. So they can be in a lesser matching cosplay or in no cosplay at all.
That's me.
Yeah.
So when Rob mentioned big armor, That's big armor.
Yeah. That's uncomfortable big armor that I love her to death, but man, I want to burn her after every con. Oh.
And now he's convinced me to do the same thing.
It's kind of where, like, I feel like you only remember the pause, like you get this like rose-colored glasses where you're like at the end of the convention, you're like, that was miserable. I'm never gonna do it again. I hated it. And then by the time the next convention comes around, you're like, you know, that wasn't that bad.
Yeah. After you're looking at the scars and the bruises and the bleeding blisters, you're like, yeah, I want to do it again. It's like,
once you're back to normal, you know, you're like, maybe again. Like,
yeah, I'll do it again. Yeah. Yeah. Then you find out your pieces are all broken. You put it all together. You're like, I don't care. It feels good. It's just a vicious cycle.
Kenny,
yeah,
so bad.
You mentioned handlers. Funny thing about my handlers are my original handler. He doesn't even like cosplay. Doesn't even. I mean, he loves going. He likes going to the conventions. He likes hanging out, but he's like has no drive to even do any cosplay. And my second set of handlers, their dog, or sorry, their puppy. I really wouldn't say dog because Kay is special to me. She's my dog meat to my power armor, and they dressed her up. They actually made armor for her, so she's got her own set of armor. But neither one of them want to cosplay. They're more happy to go look around. So you don't have to have a handler, or it's nice if your handler is kind of accentuates you. Like Amber said, a mechanic would be great, would be awesome. It's just they don't. You know, they're there to. I love my handlers. I treat my handlers like whatever they want, they get. Because you're looking right there. My field of view is this, and I can't see. My field of view is about 5 feet in front of me, is where my field of view starts.
Yeah.
I can't hear. I can't. I mean, without a handler, like I said, I treat them like they're heroes. I mean, without them, I can't go to a con without a handler. So.
I think there are like 3 main reasons you need a cosplay handler. And then there's like a 4th one that kind of applies to a specific niche. But if you have sight restrictions, if you have mobility restrictions, or if you have oversized pieces of your cosplay. So if you are in the stages of thinking about doing a cosplay, so look at that. You know, that's all 3. That's oversized pieces, that's visibility restrictions, that's sight restrictions, or mobility restrictions. And so, like, if you are planning a cosplay and you have even just one of those, you need to really think long and hard about potentially using a cosplay handler. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. Is the stream getting some feedback?
Is it from me? Is that better?
Pretty good on my end.
Might be you, Papa.
Huh? Oh, you know what? Hang on.
It's his 3D printer.
I have a printer going. Hold on.
It's fine.
I can hear it.
Hold on. Just a second.
It just threw me off because I was like, we were doing fine. I don't know where we got that thing from. So
that buzzing noise, tell me if it goes away.
Yes, that went away.
All right, sorry. I have a flamethrower from Aliens printing right now.
That's awesome. That's very
along with the whole kit of crap.
But yeah, like if you are thinking about a cosplay, and let me sneak in my one thing here. Please, do not be the person, and I'm speaking from experience, and I didn't do this, but I know several people who did, who just shows up at a convention with an oversized costume and just kind of expects people to help him or her. Like, don't be that person. Like,
like the power armor right here. I'll have to find another picture, but this is my little brother, and he told me what day he was wearing it, and I knew what day to expect it. And we were doing a whole group, and I thought, since we're doing a whole group of costumes, why don't I do the workshop Ruby from the actual game, and I can pretend, like we were mentioning, we can pretend to be mechanics, right? Yeah. So I dressed up as Ruby, and I had to pull up the pictures, but I dressed up as Ruby, and that's how I helped him across the convention space so that he, didn't have to stop or do anything. And when he did, I was there to like help him out. So let me open this up over here. Okay, there we go.
And we had, I'm not going to call him a friend because they're not a friend anymore. I knew somebody who did a big armor build and showed up to the convention and was complaining that he was stuck in the lobby because no one would help him, like babysit him through the con floors. And we're just like, did you have like a handler with you? And he was like, no, I just thought other people would help me. And I'm just like,
yeah, don't. I totally agree with Amber. I mean, you're just don't do that. You're doing that.
Yeah.
Don't expect people because my first handler helped me build my armor, so he knew what went into it, and he's very, and my second set of handlers, they know me, they know my armor, they know, and to show up, so invariably, so like Nova Rune right there, he's actually part of our group, and Killian is too. We help each other, but we know each other. But for like, and Nova Rune is a very stubborn individual, and I will say that. I love him to death, and we have so much fun. But he built that armor so he doesn't really have to rely on a handler. Well, from experience before that, I love him to death, and he's my best friend, and I call him one of my kids. But man, you can't. His story about punting a little one, because you can't see, you can't function. I mean, Amber has cosplays, and so does a Thermo that are very intricate. They're very, exactly, field of vision. You're looking through horse blinders. You can't see. And when somebody comes up on your blind side and you're 7 feet tall, you're going over. And you're going to kill somebody. I mean, it's that.
If you see a Mandalorian or a Stormtrooper or anything in that range, they can see like here. Like they can see kind of at head level. So anyone who is below kind of like their head level, and Mandos sometimes have a big enough T-visor that they can see in between it. If you can find my Nautilin Mandel, I might not have put her up here. Yeah, there you go. So
right there. Perfect.
That is the field of vision of I can see kind of in a slice in front of me. In order to see down, I have to literally put my head all the way down.
Yeah, I was there with this photo shoot when she was going to get it approved for her group, and so she would stand there, and I was like, "Hang on a second!" I did the finger test that she taught me in between each pieces of her armor because it kept her little Lekku would fall forward and move the pieces a little bit. So I'd go in there and shift them because she couldn't see.
Yep. Yeah. So that one is, I love my Nautilin because I did build her so I have really good mobility. But I do not have any real visibility. And the other big one on her is I don't have any, like, she's got this much foam on both of my ears as well as plastic. So it's one of those things where plenty of times in my Nautilin, and that's a great one as well, like I'll be standing there and somebody will be like, Amber, Amber, Amber. And then like the white noise of the convention, I don't hear a fucking thing.
You can't hear anything.
Yeah.
That's why, you work out. And it's funny because you don't, if you're at a con, you have to explicitly trust your handler to have your best interests. Sorry, I'm having functional problems this morning. I was up all night sniffing glue. Your interests, because they are your eyes, they are your ears, they are your, everything from making sure you're safe. Because, I literally, my handlers and I have signs, like hand signs to do things, because, and they walk. Good Lord, they walk. That was good. I like that. They walk like so many feet in front of me, so I focus on my handlers, because, and again, Amber brings up a good point with cons going on and so much stuff going on around you, you miss all of it. Because you have to focus. And
Hi, Jess.
hey, and I have a pretty funny story where, so that video that Thermo showed me was my first adventures with the Bros and Cons, which I love them to death. They're wonderful photographers and videographers. My handler, like, bailed off went off the corner because he lost me, or he was squirrel, deer in the headlights. He saw something, and then Vic came up to me, and I can't function. I can't even hear her, and so he came over and they figured it out. But yeah, you got to really explicitly trust your handlers. I mean, they're especially in very constrictive cosplays.
And I kind of want to piggyback off that because, like I mentioned, there's like a fourth reason you should have or you would want a handler, and it ties into what Papa Rob just said. When I, as a woman, am wearing a skimpier outfit, I have a handler with me to get me out of situations or to literally watch my back.
Oh yeah.
Like, and for this with Poison Ivy, or that's literally a stick-on bra and like the butt train. And I have had people pick me up in cosplay. I've had people grab me. I've had people behind me taking like pictures, like trying to take pictures up my skirt. In that sort of outfit, my handler fills the role of literally watching my back and watching for any discomfort so that they can get me out of that situation. So another thing to think about if you are wearing a skimpier or kind of more revealing cosplay, having somebody there that you can have a hand signal or a code word with that says, I am uncomfortable in this situation. Please get me out of here.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet you get harassed so much in her because she's so fetishized.
And I'm so covered. I am so covered. But
and
yeah.
I've witnessed that. I mean, I've actually witnessed it with Amber at her booth. I mean, I was like, oh, hell no, and chased some guy off. I was like, no, you can leave now. And he turned around.
And the sad thing is, I don't even know which con you're talking about because it happens at so many.
Yeah, it's like, oh, hell no, and I turn and I look, and you were actually dealing with a customer at your booth. And I'm like, and this guy is doing the creepy, and I'm like, oh, hell no. And I walked up behind the guy, and and I'm like, dude, you need to leave. And he kind of looks, and he's got his camera, and I said, you need to leave, or I'm going to do something physical with your camera. And, of course, the guy turns around and looks at me and goes, oh. And I'm like, yeah, your ass out of this con. Your hell out of this con.
Thank you for the backup. Because
have you guys?
Oh, God, my wall of yours. Oh.
Jess, we cannot hear you. You're a womp, 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 womp.
Yeah. Yeah, that was our meetup.
Let's talk about how many handlers it took to get you across that freaking wash up.
Yeah, and I just did a regular. Wasn't even fully dressed either. Yeah, it's me with steps and everything. So that's he's in our group too. That's Gabe. Yep. Yeah, it's you don't move fast, you don't run fast, you don't do anything fast.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorites. This is Rob on Sunday when he's like really dead to the world. So.
Just kind of over everything. But,
yeah, I'm over it.
But talking about like the things that you kind of want your handlers to like let's talk about how to prepare your handlers to be with you. And I think the first thing is to understand, and this is going to be kind of like bear with me for a second, understand as the cosplayer what your handler gets out of it. And too often I see people who build these big cosplays and they're like, I need somebody to be my handler. and we, they post in like con groups and stuff like that. And our response is like, okay, what are you providing the handler? And they go, well, nothing. I just need them to follow me around. And I'm like, you're asking somebody to work for you.
Yeah,
For
exactly.
the entire day.
The entire event.
Because it's work, and they're not going to get to see the event because they're babysitting you.
Exactly.
So a lot of us have talked about how we have significant others who help us. The trade-off is like, be mindful of what they want to do at the convention, like what they want to get out of it. And I know the Fallout group especially is great with being in the armor for a little bit and then like breaking down and then like trading out.
Yeah.
Like,
we have a system going to where, like, my armor legit weighs 60 pounds. Legit. I have to be bolted into the thing. Ben's is probably, I know he gets stubborn, his is probably a good 20 pounds. You're in it for a little bit, and then Killian's is the same way. And then we have a few other sets. So, like, Amber just hit perfectly what needs to be said about handlers is they help you and you trade out. Like with our group, I'll go down, I'll take off my armor, and I chase my handlers off because I'm done for a while. And I go, here, go get you lunch, go get you whatever you want. And I set them up. I mean, again, my handlers are part of my cosplay. And I make them that way because, again, without them, you're not there. Yeah. I mean, and I buy them tickets. I buy them, and this is nothing. I'm not.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Like I usually have, so like Lena, who's the thermal sidekick, she's usually my handler of some kind, and I have discussions with her. Like, this is the costume I want to wear today. Are you cool with like, going with me and working with me on this? And I've had Jess help me before. I'm stubborn like Ben, though. I try my best to make my costumes to where I don't have to have a handler. But I also, there are times where, like, for instance, I wore Grandmaster, right? I didn't expect to need a handler. Yeah, I have a little bit of a train, but I paid attention. I kind of lifted up when I was in bigger, busier spaces. But I did not expect him to be so popular because my photos online didn't do very well. However, in person, this character, I couldn't get past a crowd. And so eventually, one of my friends noticed that I was just kind of lagging behind, and they just kind of grabbed, oh, we got to go, and like grabbed my hand and pulled me. I'm like, thank you. I did not expect that. And I was just so bombarded that I'm like, so sometimes that happens too. And that's why we always say the rule of pairs is traveling with the pairs. There might be a moment in time where all of a sudden you don't need a handler and you just never expected it.
Yeah. And I think a great system, if you have a friend who is willing to be a handler for you, either pay them back by trading off days. Like, I want to wear my big costume on Saturday. Do you have a big costume you want to wear on Sunday? Or if you are somebody who doesn't have like a handler kind of on tap, I guess, understand that if you want to find somebody to handle for you, you will probably need to buy them tickets to the convention, and then understand that it is unreasonable to ask them, like, if you buy them like a Saturday ticket, it is unreasonable to ask them to work the entirety of Saturday. Like,
you need to give them time off. Like,
be like,
it's like a job. Job is like, you have to have breaks. You have to have built-in breaks.
And that's the perfect. And I'm going to use that, by the way. Right. It's a job. I mean, it is because they work. You're in your cosplay, and as a cosplayer, a hobbyist. Sorry, they're the professionals.
You are a cosplayer.
Yeah, hush. She's gonna kill me at the next con. I know it. They work. You as a cosplayer, you're there, and you don't feel anything. I mean,
oh my God, adrenaline is so great.
Exactly, you're done. So, so you don't feel anything. So, but your handler is working to make sure you're okay. So, again, I can't even imagine anybody needing a handler that doesn't take care of their handlers.
Yeah.
Because my handlers, again, I'll say this, get free tickets, they get lunch, they get whatever they want. and then I chase them off.
Yeah.
And when I'm downtime, I'm like, get the hell, go to the con floor. Just, we're not going to do anything for an hour. Go have fun. Get away.
Take care of your handlers so they'll do it again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my handlers, I have to train a little bit because I have to be bolted into my armor. So they have to be trained a little bit. Yeah. And we make a big funny out of it, you know, because you have to trust your handler almost on an intimate level, because some of the items that they're putting on you, you know, so don't make your handlers mad, especially if they're really good friends and you've known them for good years, because
there's a photo somewhere of me at a convention in Liara, which I don't wear to conventions because it was a terrible cosplay and it didn't work and stuff like that. But there's a part of Liara that like Velcros in my crotch.
That's why I have Thane up right here. That front panel, it looks like it's one piece. Actually, Velcro, it's really low on the crotch. And I could put it on before I put the mask on. And then afterwards, I was like, uh-oh.
Yep. So there's a photo floating around of my husband literally with like my leg over his shoulder on the side of a convention floor because like it popped and I needed him to fix it. So he's literally like in my legs on a convention floor trying to fix this stupid strap because it popped. So, you know.
Oh, aren't straps wonderful, especially if they're in really sensitive areas?
That was a whole, we should do a stream on the worst cosplays you've ever built, because I would do, I could talk an hour about that cosplay and how bad it was. But, but
I found the photos. I found them. I'm like, I know she's got her photos in here. I found your, well, I didn't find the photos of you on the con floor, but I found it to where.
So see that front panel that goes down, it connects to the back panel in my crotch. And because of the hip armor being up and over the joint of my hips, I can't bend over. I can't turn. I can't do anything. Literally, that armor is designed for me to stand there. Like, that's all I can do in it.
That's it.
So, yeah. Sorry for my butt shot, but yeah. So it
booty shot.
Yeah.
That one's way more comfortable.
That one's way more comfortable. But again, that one I can't hear. So it's good to have a handler around me. But and like
that's funny.
What was that one? I forgot. What was I worried about?
Oh, you didn't get to wear a Lyra to LA Comic-Con. That was funny.
Coming up with these pictures.
That was too long ago for me to be whining about how TikTok auto bans me for every pink Twi'lek photo I put up. But yeah, going back to what Papa Rob said about make sure your handler knows how your cosplay goes together.
Exactly.
Like, that's so important. And like Elise is a great example because I'm wearing as much of Elise as I can wear without having somebody else help me put it on. And it has to be put on in a very certain way.
Do you have a back picture of that? That picture does
I'll keep scrolling while you guys do this. I'll keep looking.
Yeah, so that was when that first picture was when I figured out how to put my legs facing backwards instead of out to the side. But that's kind of the better spread of it. So you can see that there's 7, something like that, legs on my back, and they're all Velcroed together. And I can't put them on. So somebody has to know which legs go to which place and how to put them on. And if it falls off, how to put them back together.
And Amber is actually, I mean, what is that thing? I mean, the pictures do absolutely no justice to that costume.
Like
in person, it's
spread.
Yeah, in person, it's like, whoa, okay. I mean, and that's off her back, it's quite a ways.
Yeah.
And your handler has to be aware of that.
There you go. You can see an idea where it's like.
It's when I walk, I put my hands out to the side to try and prevent people from bumping into me.
And see that
so big.
Yeah. And that's perfect. Kind of getting into another thing is, so when we're walking, my handler walks about 5 feet in front of me, and he has hand signals that nobody will ever see because he can have his hands down to his side. And what he's doing is he's clearing a path. He is also checking for obstacles. Again, and like, most of the stuff we wear is very, very focused, where you can't see to the side. So you walk, oh, that's it right there. Yeah. Yeah. So as a handler, you have to do a 360 of that entire costume. I mean, when Amber walks through like an aisle, I mean, I'm awestruck because it's like, how do you get through an aisle? I have armor on. People bump into me.
And this is only half of the legs on, and the end pieces, like this leg and this leg, are missing their end pieces. So, like, when it's all put together, it's even bigger.
Yeah, and it's just, and that's what I mean about a handler. So you have to trust your handler to not only know how you put your costume on, how it functions, how it moves, and how you move in your costume.
Yeah.
Like, I have a very weird gait as a walk in my costume because of certain parts of my costume will cut into different areas. Yeah. So
do you have to do like a swing step type of deal?
Almost a swing step. Yeah. So, so your handler has to be aware of all these little, like when we say a handler has a job, it's a job. I mean, thermo with like the long flowing robes and stuff that she wears is just, you have to watch, because when you're going down an aisle, like at a con, and we do walkthroughs and all our armor, and you literally have this much room to get through, and so you can't stop because you don't want to block anything off, but people will step on like ropes. I've seen it.
Yep.
I saw, what was it? I can't even remember which con it was at. There was an Elsie costume in front of me, beautiful flowing robes and everything else, and people kept stepping on the robes.
Yep.
So I was with our group, but I was out of my armor, and I just walked up behind her and pulled, which I should have probably asked, but I pulled up the robe and I kind of bunched it, and she kind of turned around and looked. I said, "Oh no." I said, "These people are like," because she's doing this, the whole way. So I just pulled it up with her and walked with her till we got to a corner where she caught up with her friends.
Yeah.
And she just turns around. Well, I had my bottom part of my armor on. So she I think at that point she knew I wasn't just some creeper trying to look up her dress, but
yeah.
And I turned around, and she turned around and she just walked. And when we got to her friends, I said, "Here you go." And I bunched it up and gave it to her. And I said, "This costume is way too beautiful for people to step on."
Yeah.
And she thanked me, but I think at that point she knew I was a cosplayer.
Yeah.
And that and the fact I had two guys with power armor walking behind me. But it was, so you have to, your handler has to be, and she didn't have a handler.
Yep.
And I'm watching this
because you would think as Elsa, oh, I don't need one. I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like Pink Twi'lek is like that, where theoretically I'm fine in it because it's just a dress, but it does have a train. And I thankfully thought ahead and I made the train. Yeah, that one. I made the train so it attaches with spandex. So when people step on it, it just kind of stretches.
Doing the jerk. Yeah.
But yeah, people step on it constantly. And it's not even that long of a train. It's only like a foot or two on the ground.
Yeah, but if you're in a crowd, I mean, I've seen the train on that one. It's really neat.
Yeah.
You're like, when you're in a crowd, people are not, I mean, they're not doing it intentionally.
No.
It's just, it's funny when you go to a con. I've seen so many people that they're not aware of their surroundings.
You were talking about Elsa, and I know what you mean.
Yeah. See that train? Exactly. Sorry, I'm pointing at my screen going, "No, see that train?" They're not aware. So you have to, between you and your handler, you have to anticipate pretty much everything that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I've run over kids. I've knocked down tables. I knocked down a display. I'm a clumsy guy, and here I am wearing 6.5, 7 feet of armor, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But, your handler has to watch out for these things.
Mm-hmm.
And, so again, and this is, I'm going to use this from now on. It is a job. They have a job to do, and trust is, trust is the biggest thing. Yeah, with your handlers.
Yeah. Well, that's why I kind of like doing group cosplays. So, like, I'll share our evolutions. So I really like doing group cosplays or partner cosplays because you can kind of be each other's handlers, right?
Yep.
So you can kind of look out for one another. And we had like my cape. It's supposed to go longer. I didn't do that. It still flowed, and I got it caught on a couple people's other costumes or tables before because it would flow really well.
Yep.
But I had people catching that. Going, oh, here you go. Let me pull this for you and stuff like that. But we had like Jinx, she had a really long flowy skirt, and we'd have to pick it up, make sure she's going the escalator, she was safe. Same thing with Stevie. Same thing with our Evie. We were watching out for each other's like capes and skirts, and anytime someone was really tired and he needed to use the bathroom, we could hold the other pieces of their clothing for them so that they could go. And yeah.
I mean, that's a great one to think about to prepare with your handler. If you need to go to the bathroom, like what is the procedure for that? Because like, for instance, I'm female and my husband is my handler. So sometimes we have to kind of judge to be like, okay, Amber needs to pee. How naked can we get her outside the bathroom before?
Or are there family bathrooms? Because not every bathroom is gender neutral yet.
Yep. Shout out to Emerald City Comic Con for always having gender neutral bathrooms, so I can go in there and pee, and my husband can undress me for me to do so. Or is this a situation where if you need to use the bathroom, it's now a break for several hours, so that you can get fully out, use the bathroom, and then get fully back in later. But have a bathroom plan, because you don't want to get to the point where you're like, oh my God, I have to pee so bad. And you're in your cosplay.
So this costume looks so simple, right? I'm wearing like 3 layers of leather. I've got a leather like corset underneath that I've made myself, leather straps, another leather skirt over the top, 3 belts, leather pouches. It takes me 20 minutes just to get out, go pee, and get back in.
Yeah.
And I have to have someone hold it because the leather's so heavy, it won't stay on the little hooks.
My Melina, I'm glued into.
Oh. Yeah, that's the perfect, because that's kind of a catch-22. I mean, for like big armors and stuff and going to the bathroom, you have and big intricate costumes, you planning for that. But you don't want to drink a whole lot of stuff before you do your costumes. But so there's a so I almost pretty much blacked out in Phoenix one year. I had my Raider armor on, which is all foam, and foam in Arizona is like an oven.
Oh yeah.
So this is where your handler is the right handler. When I'm a big pushover, especially for the little ones, and everybody can attest that. My handler's trying to get me back to the cosplay room to get dressed down. And, every 5 feet, somebody wants a picture, of course, and I'm, at this point, I think I had about 1 inch of sweat in my shoes. All right. I'm not kidding you. So we were about 20 feet away from the room. I'm getting tunnel vision at this point. And Sean goes, "Are you okay?" And to get into this costume, once you're in it, like the helmet, there's stuff that goes on outside of the helmet. So you put the helmet on the other side. So this 2 little kids come up and they're like, "Can we take a picture with you?" I'm like, yeah. And Sean goes, "No."
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm like, "No, I want to take pictures." He goes, "No." And he grabs me and starts pushing me. All right, I'm just in a controlled fall in this armor anyways. And I'm like, I'm getting kind of mad because he's like, "No, He goes, no, hang on, guys. We got to get him out of his costume. He's about to pass out.
Yeah.
And, and mom and dad for the little kids were sitting there, and you can't see my face, but he knows me enough to where he was looking through the slot going, oh, hell no.
Yeah.
So drug me in the room and started ripping parts off. By that time, everything went.
Yeah.
All I had was tunnel vision. And he just starts pushing water in me, and they're ripping parts off. And I am probably just covered in this point in sweat. And the gross part was I tilted up my foot and sweat came out. Is how bad it was. I mean, it was
the joy of home. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was this close to I was done.
Yeah.
So.
And I think it's important to have a handler who can not only kind of keep track of that, but also who's not afraid to be the bad guy for you. And so, like, for me,
I'm sharing this photo because I think it was you, Amber, that noticed that I was getting overheated, and I didn't notice. Why is this frozen?
It's like, no. Yeah. And this is one of those things where if you are in cosplay, and especially if you are a cosplayer with a social media presence, you have to be so careful of your interaction with the public, because the public doesn't understand what goes into being in a cosplay. And so they don't understand that you've been on your feet for 8 hours, that you're about to black out, that you're exhausted, that you haven't eaten, that you're 2 steps away from face planting. They don't see any of that. They just see you going no to a picture and them going, what a bitch to say no to me. Like, they're in the cosplay. What a bitch. So one of the things that my husband does for me is he's kind of the jerk, where if we need to go somewhere, or if I'm starting to pass out, if somebody goes, can we have a picture? He's the one that goes, no, but he's not in the cosplay. So no one like, this is going to sound really bad, but no one like notices him.
And that's the other thing about handlers too.
Yeah. And so one of the things with the handlers is they can help you get places because there's less social pressure on them to say yes, because now they're the faceless, and we know they're not faceless, the faceless, handler.
Yeah.
Oops.
I was like, what?
Lost Sam for a moment.
Yeah, my Chrome crashed.
Oh. But yeah, and I cannot stress, and again, as a woman, as a professional cosplayer, like, I cannot stress how grateful I am to people who are willing to say no when I feel I cannot. And
you're not going to say no. You're I mean, face it. As a cosplayer, you don't feel any pain. You don't. Your adrenaline is so up. Don't realize you haven't eaten or drinking for 72 hours, and the last thing you ate was.
You're just going on adrenaline. Like,
exactly. Any kind of substance you had in your body was the hot glue that you were using 3 days earlier that you started eating because you thought it was the sandwich next to you. Well, you're going something different.
You're like in that fugue state of people like, oh my God, you're so awesome. And I'm like, I'm so awesome.
Yeah, and you want, and somebody comes up, you want a picture? Oh, heck yeah. And you're going to do pictures. So you're beyond even reasonable thinking.
Oh, yeah.
And then this is the photo I was trying to share, because when we were doing this photo shoot, I started apparently getting really flush. It was 112 degrees that day.
I remember that. You got so red.
Yeah. So Amber's, we're taking photos, and she looks at me and she's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, why?" So like, Sam, come with me. She grabbed my wrist and pulled me around the corner. Yeah. And I stepped inside, and that's when we stepped inside and got like air from the elevator. That's when I knew something was wrong.
Yeah, that was like 100 degrees or something like that, and we're all in
112. It was 112 that day.
We're all in like black vinyl and stuff like that. Like, shout out to Benjamin for saying best thing to do with a big cosplay is to make each piece easy to operate and make attachment points accessible. Information, my power supply, I just made it to a 3.5 millimeter plug, so there would be no mistakes with high amp power. That's great. Making it as dummy proof as possible for your handlers.
Hey,
and then
Ben, get off. You're not invited to this stream. Go away. That's Novaroon. He's the He's the Sam's brother in the other XO1 Power Armor. Yeah,
And
tell
then-
him he's not invited. Off he goes. Out.
And then Michelle says, I'm so bad at saying no. Yes, because they're looking at you, and you are the one in the cosplay, and you put that cosplay on and put work into it to take pictures with people. And like there's just something that like I can sit here and say after 4 hours, say no and go back to the con. And if I'm in that same, or go back to your break room, if I'm in that same situation, I'm going to keep saying yes.
Yeah. And I mean, when it comes to pictures, I got my eyes opened really bad when it comes to pictures. The first time, actually the second time, I had my suit on, and it took me an hour and a half to move probably literally about 100 feet.
Mm-hmm.
It was like you took one step, you took another step, you took another step.
Yep.
And it's pictures, and you don't, as the person in the cosplay, you don't realize, I didn't realize it was an hour and a half.
Yep.
And you don't, everything is like, oh my God, pictures, and and your handler's doing the pose, and you making sure you're all good and everything, all the pieces are where they're supposed to be going.
Yep.
And and then steps back, and then he's your handler's either taking pictures or they're helping somebody take pictures because they're grabbing phones and stuff.
Yep.
And then when you get to that hour and a half, your handler's like, all right, we're getting you out and getting you some water, and you're like, oh, I'm fine. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's actually why we did like a really big Sailor Moon group, and after the KDA thing, we're like, we're gonna do it on that 4th floor so that when we get overheated, we can run inside, get some water, cool off for a bit while everybody's taking turns and cycle because there's 9 of us. So like that was how we stayed from getting overheated, because Sabbleton's still in that time of year where it's really hot in Arizona, and that nice canopy above helped filter the light so we weren't getting direct sunlight.
Yeah. That's a great example. And what Rob said about the handler having a timing, like 2 thoughts. One, have a plan with your handler as far as how long you're going to be out, when you're next going to eat. Because like Rob said, you as the cosplayer are not going to know what freaking time it is. Like you are going to have no idea. So,
not a clue.
So set a limit with I know I keep tapping my wrist like there's a friggin' watch on my stupid like set a time limit with your handler and say, I only want to do this for 4 hours. And then as a follow-up, have an emergency word. Have a word that you can sneak into conversation that just means I need to get to a quiet, private space right now. Just for whatever reason, this means stop all photos, get me to a quiet, private place. And it might be because you just realized you're about to pass out. It might be because you have just realized that, that little armor bite is becoming like an actual like armor belt. It might be because somebody just grabbed you and now you're uncomfortable, and or it might be that you're feeling overwhelmed and claustrophobic,
That's right there.
Yeah. Have a word that means get me somewhere private right now. And it can be just like pumpernickel or something. Just something that you can say to your handler that indicates that bailout right now. And
you will have.
My thing is, I got to go to a panel. That's what we do. Even if we don't have a panel, I got to go to a panel.
But that one won't always work because then people go, oh, well,
people follow you. That's
the thing is I've had them follow me before, and I'm like, oh, you're not allowed in the room, because most cons now they're not allowed in the room until the panel starts. Yeah. At least like there's some exceptions, but a lot of the ones that I've since like COVID, like the ones I've been to, they've been restricting, like in between, they clear out. You have to completely clear out, and they don't let people in until they are set up, which I kind of like.
So if that's going to happen, that's an easy thing to do. But like,
I'll be one of those people though. Like I gotta pee, and you're not following me to the bathroom. I've done that to someone. I'm like, you're not coming.
Go ahead, Papa Rob.
Yeah, and again, Amber brings up another beautiful point. I have problems with crowds. I'm also mildly claustrophobic, which is kind of weird because I'm in armor. That's, so I will get overwhelmed, and I hate using the A word, but anxiety will hit you.
Mm-hmm.
And usually it's about Saturday afternoon.
Yep.
You know,
when you have 100 people around you.
Well, it's not that. For me, some of it is so for like Tucson Comic Con, we run the New Arizona Republic and we have a big display. So I'm there from literally Thursday till Sunday night and setting up our display and taking it down on Sunday night. And even like going to Phoenix, the bigger cons, there's such a buildup. And again, as cosplayers, we have all that amped up energy and adrenaline is gonna plow into you like a truck.
The con is coming. The con is coming. The con is coming.
Yeah,
the con
exactly.
is here.
And yeah, you're gonna get hit because all of that is gonna hit you all at once. And that's the perfect time. I mean, the last time it happened to me was in Phoenix. And I was in my armor. We're walking along. There's people everywhere taking pictures. And all of a sudden, it was like a train hit me. I mean, I was like, I need to get out of this armor. I need to get away from these people now. And I made the motion, and we booked off to a room, and I got out of armor, and I just sat there, and it had to be quiet because it was just like, all that lead up, all those 2 days of being in my armor and pictures and all the, hoopla going on. It will hit you hard.
Well, I had something like similar but I wasn't an anxiety. What happened was I was at Emerald City Comic Con. I was in the most comfortable costume ever. I was wearing Merida, but I was walking. All of a sudden, I felt completely flush. It's like this heat went from my toes up to my head, and I lost all feeling in my body. And I had to lean against a wall because that was the only way I was not going to fall right there. And that is how I discovered that I got food poisoning, severe food poisoning, and that at that point in time, basically my liver cells were like, wee, like my enzymes just like plummeted it right the wrong moment, and it took me actually 3 weeks to get better. It was so bad that it like dropped my liver enzymes to the point where the doctor's like, if it doesn't get better, we're gonna put you on a specialized treatment. But I had friends with me, and they noticed. They were like, okay, Sam. And they noticed, like, I couldn't even speak. Like, I just leaned against a wall. Like, I literally had the only strength I had was to lean against that wall. And the look on my face, like, apparently Lena could see the veins in my face. I had gone so pale. And so she and our other friend ran down, grabbed both my arms because they knew that I was about to pass out. And they're like, are you okay? I'm like, no. I don't know what to do. I can't think. Help. I was like, but if I had not had them with me.
As a handler, if your cosplayer says, I'm not okay, they need to realize you need to get out. I mean, like that. Whatever it takes to get out of your gear, your armor, and get you someplace safe and start pumping water and food into you. Yeah, because at that point, as a cosplayer, it's too late.
Definitely, Emerald City has quiet rooms, so they took me in the elevator up to the quiet room, and I sat there for 2 hours, and we just drank a bunch of fluid, and I recovered enough to make it back to the car.
Yeah. So, and that's a good point of with your handlers and stuff like that. If you are being a handler for your cosplayer, maybe know ahead of time, like the layout of the convention, or at least where to go if you are having an emergency, know?
Know where the call booths are, where security is, where the medical room is, anything like that. And it's usually on the back of your badge, too.
Yeah, when we get to a con, we don't even, everything stays in the room. Everything stays in the car. You go walk the con. Mm-hmm. Or, either way, you're not even focused on your cosplay. What you're doing is you're with your handler, mapping out routes, mapping out safe spots, mapping out bathrooms that are off to the side and quiet. That's what I do with my handlers, and we figure out, and especially like for Phoenix or the bigger cons, where if you're going to go on the vendor floor, you have to know which aisles you're going to fit through. Yep. If you even can, or even if they allow you to. Yeah. So. Know where the elevators are if you can't fit on an escalator. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't fit on an escalator in her. It has to be stairs or it has to be an elevator.
like because they're just the wingspan of her legs is so big that they just catch on the sides of the elevator. So like we have to navigate to stairs did I say elevator?
Escalator.
We have to yeah, I can't do escalators. I need to do stairs or elevators.
Just gotta put a little jetpack in there.
I can do like Novaroon and myself, we can do escalators. But one of Killian and his armor went down on an escalator.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was right below them, and I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
And he got about halfway down. He'd been at the knee, and he went down slow enough to where he didn't really get hurt, and then pulled himself up. But we were like,
yeah. So someone was behind him, and they picked up got caught in between, like the little, and they picked up and managed to get it out so that he could get up and get leverage.
Yeah, those, again, cosplayers are stubborn, where you don't listen to anybody. You know, my handlers have cattle prods now.
Yeah, you need a handler that'll stand up to you.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to Phoenix with him, and all the costumes I'm wearing are pretty simple. So it'll be like,
what, me? Doing what?
I said at Phoenix, I'm just gonna poke you.
Oh, you're gonna poke me? Okay.
Yeah, I was waiting for the rest of it too. I was like, Sam, I don't think that translates as well.
Okay. I'm just gonna have a big stick and just.
Yeah, cattle prod me. As we've covered a lot of stuff about handlers, and a lot of calling it a job and some of the responsibilities you have.
Treat them well.
Yeah. Map
out the site. Know where emergency services are, and also maybe meet up before the event to see just how big the costume is.
Yep.
Yeah, and don't. Again, we're calling it. It is a job. You have a lot of responsibility, but it's not as overwhelming as we're packing a lot of stuff in a relatively short time period for y'all. And
the majority of the time, life as a handler is just standing off to the side, just chilling.
I mean, like I said, my handlers don't really have any interest in cosplay. They're there for me. I mean, literally, that's why they want, we're friends, we get along. And most of the time we're laughing at each other, like rather embarrassing story where we were at Glendale Stadium for one of the Phoenix events, and my handlers, Sean, who is more my kid than anything else, was putting a strap on my inner thigh, and the strap came out of his hand, and he punched me in a really sensitive area. I'm kind of in my I'm in my armor. I'm doing the wheeze. He's all sitting on the ground laughing, and there's all these people watching us.
Yeah.
I'm like,
the first panel I did with Amber was about thermoplastics, and I pushed my chair too far back, and I go to sit down, and it's not behind me, and I bounced off the statue.
You all have a good time, and
we're all like,
time. Yeah, it's
I think we like to hurt ourselves, or handlers like to hurt ourselves.
Again, it's a lot of fun. I'm friends with my handlers. I mean, really good friends with my handlers outside of cosplay, and so there's a little bit of trust. There's a little bit of camaraderie. There's a little bit of, when you turn your back, I'm going to do whatever I can to screw with you. But it's like, but you have fun. You make it fun. You don't make it. I mean, again, as the cosplayer, your head is here. Your head is there. And they're focused on you. So I'll start messing with my handlers. Like, I'll do the squirrel moment where we're walking down an aisle, and I'll bolt to the right. And then all of a sudden I'll hear this, "Hey, get back here!" And I'm like, they'll run in front of me and start pushing me, and it's like, oh, a squirrel moment. I saw something shiny over there, or the infamous R2D2. The infamous Dalek at TCC, where they're following me. I turned around, so I started following it, and I left my handler. It was setting up pictures with all these people. I bolted off. I was walking down the aisle, and he turns around. He goes, "Hey, what?" You know, I kind of was like, I was following this Dalek down the aisle, and because I kind of Doctor Who fan, and I'm all like, you know, I want a picture. You know, here I am in my armor, no camera, no nothing. What am I going to do? And so finally, he comes running up there. He's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Dalek, Dalek." He's like shaking his head.
Dalek.
Oh.
So we are at time. Thank you everybody today for communicating. So shout out to Cool Gamer and Sean and Ben and Amanda and Michelle and Ray for joining us during the stream today. So next week we will have stuff scheduled because I got the flu. My scheduling sort of got delayed. She's got a low heights. So you can reach me at thermocosplay.com. Amber, where can people reach you?
AmberBrightProps.com. If that doesn't work, it's AmberBright.com. I forget which one. I'm pretty sure it's AmberBrightProps.com.
I'm going to go check right now. I'm going to tell them right now. We're going to see.
But I'm on all social medias. I'm on Facebook.
It's Amber Bright Props.
Okay, it's AmberBrightProps.com. Yay!
I think. Wait, did my thingy freak out on me? Yeah, it is.
Okay, yay! So yeah, find me there and on most social medias. So.
And
I'm Rob. I'm started a fairly new page called Papa Fallout. Or through the New Arizona Republic. I'm obviously a Fallout cosplayer. Worst comes to worst, you get a hold of me through Thermo Cosplay. But yeah, so
yeah,
thank you.
And you can follow us on costalk-live.com, or you can follow us on our Discord, which we have shared on our Facebook page and our website. If you stay tuned, I will have more scheduled for next week, and we are going to start adding more rotating hosts to our meet and greets here because, some of us
a little bit more advance notice would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I surprised him today.
15 minutes is like, I haven't even
shaved. Jim on. Hey, we love you.
My jammies sitting there watching TV, and I'm like, "Hey, Sam, you guys okay for Costalk Live today? Hey, you want to come on? What? It's like 15 minutes. I'm in my jammies, I haven't even shaved yet. I haven't done anything. But, all right.
We accept jammies here. Jammies can be cosplay too. All right, but we'll see you all next Sunday at noon. Thank you, Marvelite Cosplay. Yes, I love Grandmaster. So I hope you all have a wonderful day, and we will be back at 12 p.m. Mountain Standard Time next Sunday for yet another episode of Costalk Live. So we'll see you next week, and bye, everybody.
Bye, guys. Have fun.
Bye.